Welcome everyone to the Incredicast Podcast. I'm Adam Hurst here with David Kerrigan, and this past week NASCAR went to Texas Motor Speedway in the running of the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. And can you tell us who won that race?
Well, we finally had a Toyota win, who was not Martin Truex Jr., so a huge congratulations to the 18 team and Kyle Busch. So he held off a hard-charging 4-car of Kevin Harvick there at the end.
Which is something not a lot of people can say that they've done in their life. But Kyle Busch was able to do it. And
hasn't happened yet this year. So
first time this year, actually. So we'll see if that becomes a common theme as we move on to other mile and a halves like Kansas and Charlotte coming up. But anyways, rewinding the Texas race all the way back to the green flag, we had a Stewart-Haas Racing 1-2-3 starting order with Kurt Busch on the pole, Kevin Harvick starting second, and Clint Bowyer starting third. Ford teammate Ryan Blaney starting fourth. So, good day for Ford in qualifying.
And you lock out the first two rows like that, you know.
And for stage wins, not something we haven't seen. We had Harvick winning stage 1, Kyle Busch winning stage 2. That happens almost like every race, you know. So, nothing different there, but something that was different was cautions, because they've been really dry lately.
We had some huge wrecks.
Huge wrecks. We had a 7-car pileup at one point in the race with Denny Hamlin, Eric Almirola, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, and a few others, which Blaney still managed to make his way back up to 5th.
Yeah, they put some tape on the nose. I like to call it tinfoil because it didn't really look like tape, but yeah, and they sealed the air up, and yeah, he was able to continue on and get a top 5 finish. So
yeah,
really good day for him.
And something we haven't seen very often was Martin Truex Jr. in the very last position in 37th. That will be his finishing order because of a tire issue. He just drove it straight in a wall after that tire disappeared off the face of the earth. Really bad points day for that team. Wasn't able to get any sort of stage points whatsoever.
And then you had the wreck between the 19 and the 88 car.
Yeah, 19 and the 88 car took out Paul Menard too, and a few others. But that would end the 19's day very early on. The 88 managed to come back out there, but was not very competitive. Same for the 21. And another notable caution we have here is Kyle Larson. Same issue as Martin Truex had. Tire disappeared, and into the wall he went.
A lot of crashes.
A lot of crashes compared to Las Vegas when it was just the stage-ending cautions.
Yeah.
So
we had more cars wreck in her stage here at Texas than we did in the past 2 races combined. So
yeah. It's pretty interesting that we're actually getting some cautions now, but maybe that had something to do with the weather. You know, it was colder.
Yeah.
Less grip maybe, but we had another caution after that, which would be Ryan Newman. Same issue with the tires. Very common theme in this race.
A lot of problems with these tires.
Yeah.
Goodyear.
Yeah. Another common problem was pit road penalties. Denny Hamlin had a total of 2. Harvick had quite a few. Blaney had 1 or 2. Main point of this is there was a lot of penalties, but for some reason there were a lot of uncontrolled tires, which that was Ryan Blaney's. He had that, which that was questionable because the tire was directly on the pit box line when later on in the race Kevin Harvick had the same scenario, but the tire was a little further out but that was not a penalty. But NASCAR did say that they did make a mistake with not calling a penalty there. What is some ideas that NASCAR could enforce to reduce these uncontrolled tire penalties and inconsistencies?
Well, I believe that a huge thing NASCAR could do is that if they stopped adding in 80 new rules per week, and also 12 new systems and ways of doing things, that would possibly help. We had a certain amount of men hopping over the wall for years, and we didn't have a problem with it. And so, like everything else, they decided to change that. So, a huge thing, though, is the pit gun. I mean, lots of people are complaining about how it is like junk. It really is. It is such crappy equipment. NASCAR, they could stop going to the junkyards to buy their stuff, and actually try to invest, currency. So
yeah,
that's something they could do. And just really, I don't understand all these changes that have no place, and they really won't make sense. The man who puts fuel in the car is called the fueler. He's not called the one who has to put his leg out and guide a tire behind his back. So yeah, we had a certain amount of guys for years, and we never had any problems with that. So
yeah, sometimes they make changes that need to revert back to what they should have been, but I think with the pit gun, they need to either go back to what they was doing, or fix the gun that they're doing now, or bring a totally different gun that actually works. Because when you look at that race, Kevin Harvick, he had the most dominant car, probably would have won if it was not for the issues that the gun had. That's not something you want to say, because like if it's a team problem, that's something the team needs to fix. But this time it was a NASCAR problem, and NASCAR is actually causing these teams to lose these races ultimately. So that could be a big issue, especially in the playoffs. Imagine if this was Homestead and we're still still having those issues. So that's something that needs to be addressed.
And we never used to have this before,
Yeah. And the rule with the uncontrolled tire is it has to be in arm's reach. How can you determine?
What if you? Yeah, exactly. What if you are Shaq?
Yeah.
What if you're like Yao Ming, Or what if you're? Yeah. What's an arm's reach? How do you define an arm's reach? If you are fat and you can't, look down and see your feet, what's an arm's reach for you? So again, just inconsistency, which that's the only thing that's been, actually consistent in NASCAR's history, is being inconsistent. So it's, I don't know. A new rule they can do is the clock that you suggested on Twitter to have a uncontrolled tire clock, that if a tire is out of bounds for 8.5216 seconds, then it is deemed valid. So that's what we should do.
Yeah, I think so, because if it's uncontrolled, that means no one is touching it for a long time, or however long that you want to actually set this clock to. If the tire goes out of bounds for, let's say, 2-3 seconds, maybe 4 or 5, whatever it wants to be, then it's penalty. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be anyone in the world that goes down that pit lane. Tire goes uncontrolled, 5 seconds, it's a penalty. It's some sort of clear-cut rule that causes it to be a penalty, not, oh, we have to measure the distance between the tire and the guy's arm. So
what if he's short?
Yeah.
What if he's a paraplegic? Only has one arm. So I don't know. And
Well,
I love how people on Twitter they were laughing at the sarcastic joke about the tire clock. That was funny.
It could actually work, but who knows? Yeah, an easier fix to this is, say, there needs to be some sort of boundary for the tire, whether if that's the pit box or another line outside the box or whatever in the world it is. The tire goes past that penalty, you know.
I guess safe space.
Yeah.
I think my college has one of those, so we have one here. All right, so
If you want to donate one of those.
moving on from that, we had that last caution of the day where the 18 and the 4 car, they were out in front, you know. In the turn 1, the 18 and the 4, they were already several car lengths ahead of the rest of the field. And we saw the 4 car he was on it there at the end.
Yeah.
However, with the dirty air and just trying to catch the 18, you know, he just couldn't do it. And so the 18 of Kyle Busch wins his first race in the year 2018. So
Punches his ticket to the playoffs, which we knew that he was going to anyway.
yeah.
But congratulations, Kyle Busch, once again. Welcome to the playoffs. As we move on to one of Kyle's favorite tracks, Bristol.
It is a short track, and we saw these Haas cars. They are still fast at the short track slash, you know, inter type of track. That was Phoenix. However, you know, I could see either Gibbs cars being real fast there. So I would say the Penske cars, however, you know, their whole strength of the low speed downforce that we've seen in the past couple of years hasn't really worked out too well currently this year. So who knows? So who do you see taking the checkered flag?
Well, as you said, the Gibbs cars will be very strong. We saw Kyle Busch just win Texas, and I believe his teammate, Denny Hamlin, will get his first win of the season in that 11 car.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been choosing him at times, and we've not been choosing him at times. And when we chose to not choosing him, he threw sand at us, and it landed in our mouth. So he's won this race before, and I'm going to say that the 4 car, who's won it before, is going to victory lane.
Well, he's got 3 wins this season. He'll be looking to make it his 4th.
Fourth win for the 4.
In the 4 car. Going for the win. But yes, that is our picks for this race. The 11 car of Denny Hamlin, the 4 car of Kevin Harvick, which every time that he's in a race, he's most likely the strongest so far this season. So look out for those 2. I believe that's all we have for this podcast. But yeah, we'll see you at Bristol.
Have a great week.